Hey guys, welcome back to my channel once again. Kenroy here. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Now in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how we got on in our first day of our garage insulation project, which is long overdue. Now if you're new to this channel guys, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I hope that this video is helpful. At the very least, I hope that it is entertaining and it will provide some much needed help for those who are looking to do the same. How many mil insulation do you think this was? You were saying, how thick? 50. Okay guys, so it's the end of day one for the ceiling insulation in the garage, and the builders have just left and gone home for the day because they've actually gone to pick up some additional supplies as they couldn't fit all of the insulation and the boards in the van. Really old school guys, they sort of pick everything up themselves, pay with cash, and you know, they don't really get stuff delivered unless it's absolutely something that they can't get by themselves. So they were able to make good progress, and thankfully there hasn't been too many hiccups. Now there's always issues when you got old buildings like these and you think things are going to be straightforward, but you know, there's always snags. And of course there are some within the garage and the timber frame which is above for the joist, but there is a workaround and it's nothing too major, and hopefully it won't cost me. So I'm just going to take you into the garage now and show you the state of the place and what it looks like, and they will be back tomorrow to carry on from where they left off, but so far everything has been going well. Okay, so it's absolutely chock-a-block because all of the stuff that we had on that side of the garage is sort of like piled up on this side, which hasn't really given me much access to get to the utility room. But yeah, so far so good. So I know that you won't be able to catch this on camera probably, but I'll try my best. So the plasterboard that was in the ceiling was actually double backed, and what that basically means is rather than putting one piece of plasterboard, which like you can see here, not sure how thick in terms of millimeter it is, but that looks around 10 millimeter at least. Rather than putting one thicker sheet, they've actually put two thinner sheets, I've been told. And there are some benefits to having thinner sheets. However, it's very unusual to see two thin sheets covering the ceiling. But suffice to say, all of that is being taken down at the moment, and obviously as you can see over here, some new one is being put up. Now eventually this will be plastered or skimmed, but for now we're just focusing on getting as much insulation behind there. Now I reckon some of the main culprits for where the draft is coming from is gaps like these along the sides of the ceiling. Now these weren't sealed particularly well, so whenever it gets really windy, you know, the draft would actually come up in the floorboards, hence why it's often so much colder there. This is the new insulation that's just been put in, waiting to be boarded. So tomorrow I think they'll carry on boarding this up, but for some strange reason this is what the old one looks like. Now we thought there wasn't much insulation in the actual cavity, but turns out they did have around 50 mils worth of insulation in there, which arguably isn't enough. It should be at least 100 mil. So rather than ripping it all out, we decided to leave the old insulation there and pack it with the new one, which you can see over here, which is sort of filled to the brim. And to me this makes more sense, rather than chucking all the old one out and spending extra money buying more in order to double up. Why not use what's already there as well as the new stuff? So that's what we're doing at the moment, or should I say that's what the builders are doing at the moment, and hopefully that will give a better level of insulation in the rooms above. Now this insulation that they're using is kind of like a new sort of mix, and it's actually fibreglass, but I think it might be mixed in with other things as well. I'm not an expert at this, so I'm not even gonna try to explain any of this, but you know, it should be more than adequate for the rooms above, you know, to keep the heat in. Now I'm hoping once down in the garage gets converted, that will then obviously make it much more insulated, because the walls will also have to be insulated. Now one good thing about the insulation rolls is that we won't be using as much as originally planned, because we will be using the old one that's already in the ceiling. So the cost of the overall project should come down. Now I won't say how much it's going to cost just yet, I'm waiting to see by the end of it to see if we sort of come to budget. But yeah, hopefully it should be a bit cheaper as you know than expected, rather than the amount that originally was quoted. And so far so good. Now as always, it's not plain sailing, as some of these boards above, some of these joists, they're actually not the correct distance between them, so you find that they'll end up not being completely straight. As you can see in this shot here, it starts off with a decent gap, but as it runs along it gets thinner and narrower, which basically means it's probably not square. And whenever they were fitting them, they didn't measure them to make sure that the distance between each was accurate. So you know, this is just a part of the building trade. You know, you got to get used to stuff like this and figure out a way around it. So what I think they'll do is actually add an extra piece of timber along there in order to give them enough lip to join the next piece of plasterboard to it. So rather than fiddling around and cutting plasterboards at different lengths, making the job a bit more complicated, they'll just pack it out with a piece of timber, I've been reliably told anyway, which will allow them to be able to just keep the length as they go along. Now, one of the biggest issues that we face at the moment is the fact that we actually have our gas pipe running from the front of the property, which you can see in the corner there, all the way up into the ceiling. Now, because it seems like it was done retrospectively of the ceiling being put up, the gas pipe was actually run below the ceiling, which is quite annoying actually, because you end up with all these pipes just sticking out. But because it was a garage, I guess it wasn't a big deal. But obviously now that we're trying to do some conversion, it is a bit of an eyesore. Now I reckon it would cost a lot of money to pay someone to come and rectify all of this right now. So we decided, rather than doing all of that, what we're going to do for the moment is to encase it all with a plastic frame, which hopefully will hide it away and prevent us damaging anything, and sort of like tuck it away more neatly rather than just looking at copper pipes. Now at some point when we do a renovation, I reckon we will have to get this rectified by a gas safe engineer, because the boiler will probably need to be moved anyway. But for now it will have to do. We're just focusing on making sure that the rooms above are as insulated as possible. Okay guys, that's a wrap for another video, and we've just completed day one, and so far so good with this project. I mean, I can't wait for it to be finished. Now there's going to be tons of tidying up, because as the builders rip down the plasterboards, there's just so much dust laying around everywhere. It's going to be absolutely crazy to tidy all of this up, but I know that the finished product will be well worth it. Now if you're new to this channel guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, we really do appreciate it. Now join me in the next video where I'll be taking you through day 2 to see how the builders get on, and hopefully there won't be any more snags and it'll be absolutely plain sailing. As always, this is Kenroy flying solo today, and I'll see you when you see me. Take care guys.